Well, thanks for joining us here for the news on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley. We appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. We'll start with this. We are feeling some of the impacts from now Hurricane Imelda across the coastal empire, so we are going to get right over to your forecast. Let's go ahead and bring in Dylan Smith, who joins us from Tybee Island. Dylan, how's it looking out there, and what should folks know about our weather?
Well, we still are feeling the full effects from Imelda out here on Tybee Island, Jude. Still some gusty winds out here. We've got double red flags flying, high rip current risk, also some high surf and small craft advisories. If you take a look over to the right here, you can see wave heights are very high, anywhere from 4 to 6 feet. And if you look down right there, you can see the size of that beach erosion that's taking out a lot of the coastline right here. Still, we're right here at the 19th Street Inlet, and as you can see, that's about a 4 to 5 foot drop, and we still have high tide that's going to be coming in at about 2:47, so this is going to continue to get worse, and that's really the biggest impact that we're seeing from Imelda. So over the next few weeks, when you come back out to the beach, your favorite spot might not look the same. The beach used to run about 30 yards down that way. So still, as we head into the rest of this week, small craft advisories are going to be in play through Saturday morning. Right now we're looking at wave heights with that small craft advisory 6 to 11 feet, and then past the 20 nautical miles could see wave heights up to 13 to 23 as you get closer to Imelda. But still, it could be a worse situation here on Tybee Island. We didn't see anything in our neighborhoods really get hit. It's directly the beach areas, but still we do want to put a lot of emphasis on it's not a day to be out on the water, and if you are coming out to the beach, be extremely careful as you walk out here, because we have a lot of these areas that are seeing some of that beach erosion. Jude?
Yeah, Dylan, some great safety reminders right there. I do have a quick question for you. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. Is that directly from Imelda? And if so, how long is rain in the forecast for?
So we have seen a little bit of rain from this wind, but because we have that front directly to our east, like we've been talking about, rain chances more at the coastal areas this morning. We'll still have a few isolated chances during the afternoon, but the majority of that rain should be pushing inland. And then as we head into this evening, it all clears out. And we've got some beautiful weather coming as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Rain chance-wise, still going to be a little bit gusty, still going to have some of these effects on the coast during that time, but rain not going to be as much of a factor as we play into the rest of the work week. However, it will be coming back this weekend.
All right, Dylan, thanks for joining us live from Tybee Island. Certainly appreciate it as we continue to track these storms.
Of course.
All right, and with that, we will move on to the rest of the news here on WTOC Plus, because the clock is counting down to the deadline at midnight tonight for a government shutdown. It's looking more and more likely that a shutdown is coming after congressional leaders and President Trump have failed to make a deal after meeting at the White House yesterday. Nicole Killian joins us now with the latest on the looming shutdown.
Come midnight, the federal government is poised to shut down.
I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing.
The vice president and congressional leaders emerged from a brief closed-door meeting with President Trump Monday without an agreement in hand.
For the first time, the president heard our objections and heard why we needed a bipartisan bill.
Republicans have proposed a short-term bill to fund the government through mid-November. The measure passed the House this month.
If the Democrats make the decision to shut the government down, the consequences are on them.
But Democrats say any deal must address health care, including an extension of subsidies under the Affordable Care Act to prevent a premium hike at the end of the year.
Are you open to compromise?
We've said from the beginning that we're willing to find a bipartisan path forward, and our line in the sand is the bill has to help everyday Americans, not hurt everyday Americans.
Across from the Capitol, some federal workers are bracing for impact as the White House has asked agencies to consider more mass layoffs for programs that don't align with the president's priorities if a shutdown occurs.
They've been threatening us since day one and carrying it out. And I think all of us have come to terms with the fact that we might be fired at any time and for any reason.
Jamie Billard's husband is in the Coast Guard and, like many service members, won't be paid until a deal is done.
It's another ask for military families to try to navigate. There's a possibility that your member's not going to get a paycheck for the second half of the month. So it's another plate that you have to keep spinning.
If there is a shutdown, some essential services would continue, like Social Security benefits and mail delivery, but national parks and museums would close. A new economic analysis estimates that a shutdown could cost the U.S. economy about $7 billion a week. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, this is first on WTOC Plus. As we enter the fall, it is prime time for harvesting Georgia's top crop. We're talking about peanuts, and that includes in Effingham and Scriven counties, where the Boyd family has been farming for generations. Now, I caught up with Ben Boyd to see how this year's crop is shaping up. Here's an extended look at our conversation. Ben, first off, just tell me a little bit about Boyd Farms and what y'all do.
Well, so my family's farmed in this neck of the woods for a long, long time. So right now I farm with my daddy and my brother, and I've got 3 grown nephews, and so it's a family affair for us.
And, we're officially now into fall. How are things looking out on the farm?
So we're just wrapping up corn harvest, and we're glad to get that behind us, and we're just getting started good in peanuts, and that's a big ordeal for us. So we'll spend the next 6 weeks wide open trying to get this peanut crop out of the field and into a Snicker bar near you.
And what's kind of that process like, taking, peanuts from the ground and getting them ready?
So obviously peanuts grow under the ground, and so if you ride by a field right now, it's usually green on top and looks kind of like grass. And so what we'll do is turn the peanuts over. So we'll dig them and invert them, and then we'll let the sunshine and the air dry them out. So we'll let them dry 3 or 4 days, maybe a week. We'll come back in there with the harvesters we call pickers, and we'll pick the peanuts off of the dry vines. Once we put them onto the dry vines, they're usually not quite dry yet, and so we'll send them to a buying point in town, and they'll finish drying them. They'll grade them and decide how good they are. We try to grow good ones, and so they'll go into a big warehouse, and after a while the warehouse will get an order from somebody who makes something out of them, and hopefully soon they'll turn into a candy bar or your favorite peanut treat, like my little girl named Katie eats. And if I let her eat them, I promise you they're good.
And what makes a good peanut? How do you know it's ready to be picked?
So maturity is a big thing, so it needs to be as mature as you can let it get. But the balance there is that if it gets too mature, it'll start, so it's a seed. We eat the part of the seed, it'll sprout and try to come up and make a new peanut, and that's how God made it. So it tries to reproduce all the time. So you need to get it as mature as possible, and you don't want it to fall off. So we want them as mature and ready and tasty as we can get them, and then we pick them on that day. And it's kind of like a bell curve. So you got some that get ready early, some that get ready a little bit later, and you need to find the optimum time to dig them to get as many good ones as you can. You'll never get them all, but we try to get as much as we can.
And is there like a certain kind of color you look for? I know we were talking about that earlier.
So there's a method that a good friend of mine in Scriven County invented, and we call it the hull scrape method. And so you scrape the hull of the peanuts, and the color of the skin under the hull tells you how ripe it is. And so there's a chart, and we determine pretty much by the color of the hull. We grow a lot of other crops. We grow corn, we grow soybeans, typical Midwestern crops, and it's like a science. But growing peanuts is like an art. So sometimes you just got to feel it. We rely on a bunch of people on our farm, and so probably our 4 biggest consultants, and they're not consultants, they're regular old farmers. My daddy's 80 years old, Mr. Ricky's 81, Mr. Ashley's 82, Mr. Ryle's 84. So between those 4 people, we probably got 275 years of experience growing peanuts. And I don't care how many you grow, every year is different. And they've had a lot of years to watch. And so sometimes you just got to feel it. And we rely on those guys that got a lot more experience than we do. I've only been doing this for 35 years, and we have to rely on somebody who's seen a lot more than me.
A lot of experience growing peanuts. I assume a lot of experience eating peanuts too, because you got to know what makes a tasty peanut.
Absolutely, man. I eat peanuts every day. Look at me. That might not be a very good sales point. But anyway, no, man, hey, everybody needs to eat peanuts, because it's absolutely the best thing. They're nutritious, they're good for you, and they taste good, man. You can't go wrong. So what we do is convert sunshine and water into peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
And talking about sunshine and water, weather conditions, we've been dry for a while, we're getting rain. Does that impact the picking process?
We can pick with a little bit of moisture in the air now. In the past, we could not. But with that being said, a little bit is a tiny little bit. So when it clouds up, we'll have to slow down picking. When it gets hot and dry and the humidity goes down, we can speed up. So what we really need is You've heard about a harvest moon. That's what we need. We need long days and clear nights with no clouds and no humidity, and we need it to be dry.
Ben, that's really all the questions I had for you. Thanks for showing me the farm and talking about the process. Is there anything else you'd like to add for the story?
So peanut production is really high in Georgia. So Georgia grows half of the peanuts grown in the country, over half of the peanuts grown in the country. So peanuts, Georgia's the peanut state for sure. The other ag economy is really soft right now. Peanuts have been the last thing that were relatively profitable. And so we were looking for $500 on this crop, and we're going to end up at about $385, but there's a bunch of them planted. But one thing about that is because, so there's a big increase in fertilizer prices, which is tough on what we grow. So our inputs go up a lot when fertilizer prices go up a lot. So the peanuts are legumes, so they put nitrogen back into the soil. So that's one input that you don't have to put on peanuts. We don't have to add nitrogen, so it's a big help. And so other than they're rotationally sensitive, so we never grow peanuts behind peanuts. We keep them on a 3-year rotation because we believe that's the best for our soil, and we make more. Well, we feel like that's part of being able to make good peanuts is keep a good rotation. But other than that, the next crop following peanuts will be better. And so, being as they are a legume, they got a lot of vines. There's a lot of nutritional value in the hay. So we raise cattle as well, and our cows love peanut hay. They treat it like ice cream.
Well, that was pretty cool. You would never imagine Georgia grows more peanuts than peaches. I might have to change our state name. Well, finally here on WTOC Plus, this is pretty cool. A new museum is now open in Savannah's City Market to explore some of the characters who may have sailed into Savannah centuries ago. It features exhibits on warfare at sea, pirate treasure, music, dancing, and even female pirates.
We weren't sure what was going to go down here. We feel like we've come up with the perfect concept. I mean, you're in a pirate museum, you're in the basement, you hear creaking overhead. It is just really an immersive experience, and we are so excited to have this come to fruition after 2 years of being, in the making.
And the exhibit sits underneath the American Probation Museum and is run by the same company. It's open every day from 10 to 6. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC Plus. We appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. We'll be back with plenty more news here on WTOC Plus at the top of the hour at 2 o'clock. And for the latest updates, you can always head on over to our website at WTOC.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll now join Local News Live in progress.